Hi there. So it's always a big deal when Sequential bring out a new synth. Obviously, they've just been taken over. And lo and behold, they've brought out this, the Take 5. Bit of a cheesy name, but there you go. There's a lot to love about this synth, I've got to tell you. Not least is the size. It's so small, and yet it feels really well built. So if you're doing small gigs in clubs and bars, I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer at the price point. I have to admit, when I first bought it, and I did buy it, by the way, so my opinion is completely unbiased, I didn't really like it the first hour or so. I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to bother with this thing. But I then really changed my opinion when I started programming it, mostly due to the modulation matrix, which really brings this synth to life. I'm going to show you around that. I'm going to show you some tricks and little workarounds that I've discovered with it. And also show you my sounds. I've programmed 2 banks of sound. You just heard some of them. And they're available to buy at my website. The link is below. So if you're interested in that, go and check them out. They're not too expensive. I'll play you some more of them later. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to show you around the synth and let you know my thoughts. So if you're familiar with analog synths, this will be very easy for you to understand. If you don't know much about subtractive synthesis, check out my video above. It teaches you the basics. Let's start off by making a basic program, which is an initialized patch. You've got 2 oscillators. They're both identical. They have variable waves, which go all the way from a sine, which is quite nice to have a pure sine wave on a synth, through a saw, square, and then pulse width. And you can automate the movement of that, which is fantastic. Oscillator 2 is identical. You've also got a sub oscillator on oscillator 1. Sounds nice and fat. And you've got pink and white noise. Beautiful. Over here you've got the filter section. It's very basic. It's just a low pass filter. It's pretty smooth, and it's got obviously the normal resonance, but it's also got drive, which is a very useful addition, because my one criticism about this synth is that it sounds a little bit weedy in the lower mids department. It's got loads of really low end, and it's got a nice spongy top end, but the lower mids just feel a bit lacking to me. So it doesn't have that really organic warmth that some of the other sequential synths have. But this drive does help make up for it a little bit, and it just gives it a bit more thickness. It also rounds off the sound of the resonance. It's kind of subtle, but it does make a difference when you've got that up a bit. Over here you've got 2 envelopes. Normally an envelope 1 would be for the filter, and envelope 2 would be for the amplitude. That is the overall volume. And you can still use it like that, but you can also make envelope 2 cater for both the filter and the amp, and that frees up envelope 1 to bring in various modulations, which are, you can modulate a lot of things on this synth. It's the real strong point of the synth. I would say that this synth's strong point generally is the modulation, and that makes it something that's great for making modern sounds. You can get these morphing, moving sounds that you hear in modern productions where the reverb will come in, it'll suddenly get into a different space. That's the thing that I love the most about this synth, apart from the other thing, which is obviously the size. Above the envelopes, you've got the effects. The reverb, it's very basic, but it's okay, it sounds all right. It can go to a really long decay, which I like, because if you want those sort of dreamy, ambient kind of sounds, it's great for it. And obviously, the fact that you can automate the reverb and bring it in and out makes it really cool to use. The effects section, I've got to say, is pretty pony, which means not great in English. It's just a bit cheap sounding. So a lot of the time, I found that I didn't want to use them. The delays are all right, and the ring mod's not too bad. But as soon as you kick in the effects section, something happens to the phase. I can't tell exactly what's going on, but it feels like the phase has got inverted. So you lose, I don't know, you lose some quality in the sound somewhere. Certainly feels a bit less analog. And this synth does need all the help it can get in that department, because even though it is analog, it's under very strict digital control. So it doesn't feel really breathing like a vintage synth, for instance. Over here you've got two LFOs, LFO1, which is a global one, and LFO2, which is per voice. And next to that is the section where this synth really comes into its own, the modulation section. Let me start programming up a sound for you. So at the moment we've just got that's just oscillator 1 on a sine. I'm going to have oscillator 2 coming in later. You can do this by using the envelope. One of the cool things in here, if you press program, you can delay when the envelope comes in, and that's really useful because now I can delay this. What I'm going to do is set up a modulation here. That's very easy to do as well. You press source assign here, and I'm going to use, the source is going to be the envelope 1, so I just press something on envelope 1 and it appears. Destination is going to be oscillator 2 volume, okay, and then it automatically goes to value. Going to make it go all the way. So now this envelope is controlling when oscillator 2 comes in. So that's something you can't do on a, on a conventional synth. Let's give oscillator 2 a different modulation. We can use LFO1. So you can get interesting sounds like that. Again, let's bring in the reverb so it starts dry. Starts dry, and envelope 1's going to bring in the reverb. Again, very easy to do. Source assign, envelope, destination, reverb mix, and then the amount. I'm going to use a lower sound there, I think. So you can do some very interesting things like that. And there's so many things you can use to modulate. I mean, like the pitch wheel, I can, let's say I use the pitch wheel to modulate the shape of oscillator 1. And at the same time, bring in more reverb when I do that as well. Possibilities are endless, really. Again, like the modulation is going to get rid of oscillator 2. and bring in a ton of reverb. So you can see how you can really morph these sounds. It's wicked. It's a fabulous tool for someone like me who likes to manipulate things live. I just find that, you know, a sound that's quite vanilla can really come to life when you modulate it. Another cool thing is you can set the value of the pitch bend to 0 on one way and then maybe a big jump on the other way. So I can use pitch up as just a filter cutoff opening, or whatever it is I did, I can't remember. And if I go down, beautiful. You've got the vintage knob on here as well, which is great. Works. Another cool feature on this synth is you've got this voice spread. You can assign it to just do the panning like you can on the other ones, like this. But you can also assign it to do lots of other things. Like for instance, I can make it change the shape of the wave on Oscillator 1. And that does give some really interesting effects. And what it's doing is it goes through in series the voices, the 5 voices, and it changes the oscillator shape each time. So it ends up sounding like this. Okay, look, I'm going to play you a few of my sounds. I hope you've enjoyed my little walkthrough, and I hope you enjoyed the synth if you've just bought it. Go and get my patches.